Hello there, everyone, and welcome to this German GCSE and iGCSE video tutorial. So this is a fairly brief tutorial, just going through the changes to the German GCSE exams from 2026 onwards, as certain exam boards have made changes to their formats and syllabus, and how you can prepare for those changes as best as possible and not be caught out. So, I'll just introduce myself quickly first. I'm Dalan J. Talwa. I studied French and Italian, so modern languages, for my MA degree at the University of Cambridge. I graduated in 2015, and since 2015, I've been an educator most of the time. And the majority of that time, I've been a full time tutor, which I've been doing for at least 6 years now. And look forward to continuing for even longer. I am a huge languages enthusiast. I've learned more than 20 of them to different levels, and at least 9 of those to fluency, of which German is one, I would say. I did German myself successfully for GCSE, and then practiced it, improved it considerably too. I have helped over 500 different students so far to achieve or exceed their target grade in GCSE or iGCSE languages exams. I've taught 8 languages to GCSE level, some of those at higher levels as well. And it's been a great journey. I'm very passionate about my subject, of course, about languages, and about the benefits of learning languages and ways to make that process faster and also more fun. And I love passing these on to my students, motivating them and helping them get to their target grades. Okay, now these are the German GCSE and iGCSE exam boards. So 4 of them for GCSE German and 2 for iGCSE German. At least as of December 2025. You should note down your own exam board as early as possible. Ideally, make sure that you're aware of that all the time, because there are some differences from exam board to exam board. And that's what we're going to touch on a bit in this video too. Because these changes that I'm talking about from 2026 onwards for the German GCSE exams, they only actually affect 2 of the exam boards. So 2 very specific, but also very commonly taken exam boards. And those are AQA and Pearson EdXL GCSE. Not Pearson EdXL iGCSE. The iGCSE exam boards are not affected by these changes at all. And neither are WJEC EDUCAS or CCEA. But AQA and Pearson EdXL GCSE German exams, and indeed for any other modern language as well, for those 2 exam boards, from 2026 onwards, there will be certain changes. So I'm going to take you through those because quite a few parents and students have expressed a bit of concern about these changes and a bit of uncertainty as well about how to navigate them, how to prepare students as well as possible, and make sure that they can go into the exam without feeling that there are many unknowns again, and feeling that like they know how to ace the paper and get to the grades that they want to earn. So I'm going to take you through those. They're not massive or wholesale changes, but still important to be aware of. And they affect only these 2 exam boards. So if you're doing either of those exam boards, then carry on watching. If it doesn't affect you, though, then you're excused. You do not necessarily have to watch this. Okay, so firstly, what are those changes to the German GCSE exams from 2026 onwards? Well, there are a few changes to the syllabus itself for AQA and Pearson EdXL GCSE. The topic areas have been made slightly broader. Which, of course, you should cover these topic areas in school. There is a fixed vocabulary list. This is one of the biggest changes, arguably the biggest, actually, to these exams for these exam boards, AQA and Pearson EdXL, from 2026 onwards, that there is a fixed vocab list that all students can access, which should be freely available on the website of each of these exam boards, and which essentially standardizes the vocabulary that students have to learn. So there are 1,200 words for foundation tier, 1,700 words for higher tier students. Of course, there's a distinction between foundation and higher tier for both of these exam boards, for any GCSE exam boards. So make sure you're aware of which one you're taking. And the fixed vocab list can be a really good place to start in your revision. And in terms of revising vocabulary, this is actually generally an advantage, really. The fact that you've got a fixed vocab list, which is not going to change, at least in the foreseeable future, for you to revise from. Many students of other exam boards would be quite envious of this because, yeah, they don't have a particular vocabulary list which is so standardized, and therefore they could see many different words coming up from different topic areas that are also outside of what many students would have come across in their GCSE preparation and revision. That shouldn't really be the case for AQA and Pearson EdXL GCSE, though, from 2026 exams onwards. Most of the words in the exams, such as in listening and reading, if not all of them, should come from these vocab lists. So that's a great thing to check out and a great place to start your revision. There are slight changes as well to the question types in the reading and listening papers. It's been said that there'll be fewer questions where you've got to answer in the foreign language. So fewer questions where you've got to answer in German, which is again going to be a relief for many students and an advantage for those students doing either of these exam boards. That doesn't make the exams easy by any stretch. You still have to apply many of the similar types of exam technique for most of the kinds of questions that can come up. But the kinds of questions themselves, those question types, they've been narrowed somewhat. So there are fewer questions that require any kind of writing, more multiple choice type questions instead. And a few extra types of questions in speaking and listening, as we'll see. So moving on nicely now to the new elements of the exams from 2026 onwards for AQA and Pearson EdXL GCSE only. One of these is the reading aloud task. That affects the speaking exam only. So the reading aloud task is a new part of the speaking exam. And what that consists of is, well, as the name suggests, essentially the student will have to read aloud something in German. So that is a task that should be reasonably easy to practice. You can still find sample materials available on either of these exam boards' websites. So make sure you know which exam board you're taking and then go to the website of that exam board to find sample materials. Even though these new format exams haven't actually started yet, they'll be from the summer of 2026 on. There are sample materials. They have to release sample materials. So there is still some revision material out there. So don't feel overwhelmed or like you've got no clue where to start or how to revise, because there's still sample materials out there. And probably over time, there will be more and more of those too. For the reading aloud task, of course, you've got to speak German out loud. So knowing the correspondence between letters and the sounds that they produce, or certain combinations of letters even, which in German can, of course, be different to English, that's really important. You don't have to sound like a native at all, but do work on your accent a little bit to make sure that it is comprehensible and that an examiner would be able to understand what exactly you are saying or reading aloud in German clearly. That's the key there. The second new element is the dictation task. That is part of the listening exam. That is a task where they will read out sentences in German slowly, and they will repeat each one 3 times generally. And you will either have to fill in the blanks to complete the sentences or transcribe the entire sentence. So write out the entire sentence that you hear in German. So again, knowing sound symbol correspondences can be really useful for that. Things like practicing, of course, listening to German and writing what you hear can definitely help, as can being familiar with German spelling rules. German is actually rather phonetic. It is supposed to be a phonetic language. So once you know the sounds made by certain letters or letter combinations, that doesn't actually fluctuate in German. It's not meant to. Unlike, say, French, where there is variation, many letters are just not pronounced at all. So German is maybe difficult, particularly grammatically, but when it comes to these tasks, there can be a slight advantage compared to some other languages. Okay, in terms of preparing for these new German GCSE exams, the new tasks in particular, that's the main thing to do. There are new tasks, of course, the ones we've just mentioned. the reading aloud task and dictation task. So those are the main things that students tend to feel worried about because they're less familiar. Of course, you will practice them in school. You definitely should do in any case. But if you want to get a head start, or if you want further practice to feel like you really mastered these and that you're on top of them, you can access sample materials. There are sample materials available. The best ones would be on the websites of each of these exam boards, AQA and Pearson edXL GCSE. So don't hesitate to consult those websites and use these sample materials. And there are likely to be more shortly as well. Focus on practicing the new elements, of course. They're going to be the most intimidating because they're newer, not for any other reason. I don't believe actually that these new tasks, the reading aloud task and the dictation task, I don't believe that those are going to necessarily be the hardest parts of the respective speaking and listening papers for most students. They actually probably won't be, but there is an added element of fear because they are newer. And that is the main obstacle for quite a few students. Obviously, the tasks still require practice too, so do make sure to carry on with those, with that, and to give yourself as much familiarity as possible with them. Practice sound symbol correspondences. That's really important, and that's specifically what these two new tasks are aimed at. That's what they're supposed to target. Sound symbol correspondence, that refers to how the sounds produced by individual letters or combinations of letters in German. There should be reliable patterns in German. They don't fluctuate too much. So once you know the sound produced by a certain letter or letter combination, you can simply learn it and memorize it. And it's important to know those as well as you can. Just encountering more German and being exposed to more and more German, even hearing it will help with that as well. And then start learning from the set vocabulary list early. Make sure to use that to your advantage, the fact that there is a set vocabulary list. Don't let it catch you by surprise. Do check where it is, check how to access it and download it as early as you can, and then start revising from it well ahead of the exams. Don't leave it to the last minute, because then you won't be able to memorize all of the words. It can be a real advantage to have a vocabulary list, as long as you, of course, use that well. Okay, so now I'm just going to put your understanding of these changes to the German GCSE exams from 2026 onwards to the test with a mini quiz. Question 1 is, are there differences in the fixed vocabulary lists for foundation tier and for higher tier? Spoke about this towards the beginning, so I'll give you a bit of time to reflect. Okay, let me show the answer. Yes, there's 1,200 words available in the fixed vocabulary list for the foundation tier. You need to know all of those, or as many as you can, and 1,700 words in the fixed vocabulary list for higher tier. So there is a difference of 500 words. Definitely make use of those vocabulary lists. It's unlikely that there will be words or significant numbers of words outside of those lists that appear in the papers. So definitely use that to your benefit. Number 2, true or false, the changes to these German GCSE exams from 2026 only affect the AQA and Pearson edXL GCSE exam boards. That's definitely something that was mentioned. I'll give you a few more seconds to think. Okay, and now I'll show you the answer. This is true. These are the only 2 exam boards actually affected by those changes then. And number 3, true or false, there are more limited question types for the reading and listening exams for the relevant exam boards. Okay, another few seconds. Now let me show the answer. This one's also true. So true or false or not mentioned questions are no longer asked generally, and there are fewer questions, at least, requiring answers in German. I believe that they still can come up, but they're definitely going to be less common. And question number 4, what exactly are sound symbol correspondences? Try and be as precise as you can, and I'll give a few seconds of thinking time first. Okay, now let me show the answer for this. Sound symbol correspondence refers to the sounds that are produced by certain letters or letter combinations in a language, such as German, for example. So if you have questions regarding any of this, or if you'd like to know about more personalized help classes, which I do as well, you can get in touch with me by email, through Facebook, or Instagram. And I do post on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn too, almost every day. I talk a lot about my passion and motivation for learning languages, hopefully inspire some other people to learn languages. I talk a lot about techniques for learning them in fun ways, as fun as possible, whilst making it efficient and accelerating the process too, which can be useful. And I talk a lot about exams, including GCSE exams, and how you can prepare for them as best as possible. So do follow me on each of those platforms. I offer quite a few resources, free resources too, for German GCSE students. On key phrases, particular parts of grammar, and more. So you can reach out if you'd like to access them. And I do one-to-one classes, group classes, courses, and a lot more. So do reach out if you'd like to know more of any of this.